Hey, what's up, motherfuckers? This is the Good Times of Killing Us podcast. It's your boy Dave. I'm here with K-Town.
K-Town!
And Marquise.
Yo.
And we are here on this beautiful McAfee Monday, which is officially the schedule for which we release episodes every Monday morning. Check us out on your lame-ass drive to work. Check out the Good Times of Killing Us podcast.
Your boy's getting a little ahead of himself. Not every Monday. I mean, there might be bonus episodes here and there, but we're looking for a bi-weekly type schedule.
That is true, guys. We got to work real jobs. We got y'all on some spoiler casts. We got y'all on some fun stuff whenever we can. But, definitely bi-weekly schedule. We're all working hard.
If y'all buy our feet pics, we won't have to work jobs.
That's true.
Saying.
Support people who entertain you.
By bi-weekly, we mean buy our feet pics that we're going to be posting on the Instagram, and we can make this podcast happen.
I have deformed nails, just FYI.
We really should start if that's how you got to hustle nowadays as podcasters, we should just launch that premium snap, bro. Just all of our feet. We'd be good.
I had surgery on my big toes, so I have deformed nails on my big toes.
Yeah, someone out there is just yeah,
someone's getting hard.
Someone's hard.
Someone's fully
torched.
Did you see we have listeners in Saudi Arabia now, so they're probably going fucking crazy.
Shout out to our Saudi Arabian listeners. I don't know if that was a slight against y'all or what, but thank y'all so much.
I know y'all like feet out there.
Yo, but besides, follow us on Facebook at the Good Times for Killing Us podcast. Follow us on Instagram. I've been fucking this up for the last bunch of episodes, but it's not just Good Times Killing Us. It's Good Times Killing Us podcast on Instagram.
So much to remember.
You probably found that on your own, but and follow us on our YouTube, which is the Good Times for Killing Us on YouTube.
Yeah, shouts out to all 40 of our listeners.
Yeah, y'all are going hard right now, bro.
Seriously, there's a lot of people that are regularly listening to these episodes. Us doing all this research is actually feeling like it's paying off. I mean, it's not paying any bills, but at the same time, it's great that y'all actually give a shit. So thank you so much for listening to our podcast.
It's sick. Shout out to y'all.
Absolutely. So let's get right fucking into it. We are talking about John McAfee today, y'all.
McAfee. Let's say it. Come
McAfee.
on.
McAfee.
Nah, see.
I kept calling him
I'm sorry.
McAfee, which made me think of Gaddafi.
Degrassi?
Dude. All right, so McAfee. John McAfee.
Where do we start?
All right, so what do y'all think about this dude right off the bat? So first of all, John McAfee, if you recognize his last name, he's one of the big moguls of antivirus software very early on, as late as the late 80s, but you probably saw one of his programs on your computer.
You probably have it right now.
Yeah, you probably do.
Yeah, McAfee Antivirus.
Yeah, he's one of the OGs along with McAfee and Norton. I mean, this guy, or at least his company, has been prevalent in our society. Just kind of, you don't really think about it, but this is the guy who made McAfee fucking
Antivirus.
Do you guys think Norton is going as hard as John McAfee right now?
No, my boy Norton ain't killing nobody.
You think Norton's trying to make his own army in Central America somewhere?
Dude, probably not. McAfee, I mean, it sounds like if people that are listening to this podcast don't already know about him, it sounds like we're just going to say, this is the story of a guy who made a fucking antivirus software. But this motherfucker, after he left his antivirus company, fucking went off into the fucking jungle, became the Captain Kurtz from Heart of Darkness in the fucking Belizean jungle, became a fucking, he's wanted, well, he's not really wanted right now for murder. He's, it's well assumed.
Yeah. He's wanted for. Well, he was found. Actually, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But technically, right now, I think he's wanted by the IRS and the FBI for tax evasion.
But there's a lot of things that lead to him possibly having a body count. Not only in, I mean, really just in the country of Belize in general. I mean, he's just this crazy, drug-addled, fucking hyper horny, literally made drugs to be horny motherfucker. Just this rich mogul who just went full on insane after leaving the McAfee antivirus software company.
He's unhinged. Just Google a picture of this guy right now, and look at this guy.
The first picture will probably be him shirtless with a shotgun.
Pretty much most pictures you see of this guy, if you Google him right now, are going to be him shirtless with weapons. Just Google him and look at this dude.
Look at this dude.
Dude, his Twitter profile has a Jonathan Joestar anime pic with it.
what is this dude like?
What is
fuck?
this dude?
My boy out here putting anime pics up.
I mean, honestly, the fact that the guy has like girlfriends who are like fucking. He had a
Yikes.
girlfriend who was like 17. He's probably talking to all kinds of weird young girls, despite the fact that he's what 70 something right now.
The boy right now is currently. We should look this up, but he's at least 73 right now.
Yeah, but he
upwards
ripped.
of 73. Oh yeah, he's fat.
My boy used to do yoga.
Let's get into it.
He should be 69 years old right now.
We're giving away all the heat. Let's go ahead and get into it.
We just want to let y'all know who this motherfucker was, y'all. So let's get right into it. Let's get into the history and all the exploits of the man, the myth, the legend, John McAfee. So, John McAfee was born September 18th in 1945 in England, although he was raised in Salem, Virginia. So right here in our own home state of Virginia.
2 up, 2 down, baby.
So basically what it was his father was in the army and he had been stationed in England. He knocked up a woman in England. He said, all right, so let's go on back to the U.S. and chill in Salem. And still to this day, John McAfee says that he identifies with his home country just as much as he does the U.S., despite the fact that he mostly grew up in the United States.
Yeah, but he's just like a rich mogul, so he's super well traveled. He's been back to fucking. He's been back to England among many other places.
He's been everywhere. But it's worth mentioning.
The Forest of Dean is where he was born in England.
So wait, what?
The Forest of Dean.
The Forest of Dean.
The Forest of Dean. It's actually a notable location in. God damn it.
We were talking about King Arthur.
In Harry Potter.
Fucking nerd alert.
Nerd alert. Harry Potter. Fucking.
Fucking Harry Potter.
But you know.
So, a young John McAfee, let's talk about his home life a little bit, because as soon as we're done with this, the first thing that you might be asking, like I was asking, was what the fuck did this dude deal with when he was a kid to lead to this kind of human being? So his father, who was in the American Army, was actually an extremely abusive alcoholic, and when young John McAfee was only 15 years old, he shot himself in the head.
Yo, shouts out to all the abusive alcoholic fathers out there.
Shout out. Just don't shoot your head, because that'll probably fuck your kids up even worse than you already have.
Yeah.
So, it was when he graduated high school, he moved to Roanoke, Virginia for college to study mathematics. But after graduation, he went on to work for NASA and even Lockheed Martin. But he really began to finesse on his entrepreneurial skills by selling cocaine and other drugs while working for these companies. So he's working for like NASA, Lockheed Martin, a huge arms dealer company, and he's just on the low.
A bunch of other like big companies too. Like he was just like sliding through a lot of companies working, I guess, tech work or like just really like. I don't know what he was doing.
That's some G shit. You making bank doing that? Like you're working at NASA. You know you're making 6 figures a year.
Yeah, dude. Working at
Fucking,
Lockheed Martin.
You got a prestigious job, and you're out here trapping in the hallways.
Dude,
How much money do you think he was making from? Do you think he was making a lot of money from actually selling drugs, or was it just like this is just the adrenaline boost that I require?
It was probably just like the adrenaline. Like he was getting
the
fucking hard
for
from that
sure.
shit.
Well, at some point, these interests in technology and mathematics kind of converge with his kind of raw entrepreneurial style. And in the late 80s, he started working on a program called Virus Scan, which he gave away for free with a licensing fee. He eventually formed McAfee Associates and started warning businesses about the consequences of not having virus protection.
Yo, that licensing fee shit was some gangster shit, too.
That's some drug dealer shit. That's some old drug.
He
He's like,
literally-
hey, I'm gonna give you this for free.
He was giving you that first hit for free, getting you hooked. He was hitting you with the licensing fee. So he'd sell you the product for free, and then in the fine print, deep down in the fine print, there'd be a yearly fee that you had to pay him once you had it installed on your computer.
And
so,
that's for like those bigger companies. Because
Yeah.
all these big companies, this is like what in the 80s.
The late 80s, yeah.
You know, so all these bigger companies,
They didn't know what the fuck was going
they know.
on.
I mean, they're computer viruses. Holy
Yeah.
shit! Like so.
Because they probably think everything is safe, and they have some of them, like, all of a sudden, we have access to all these computers. We have, like, our most important confidential information stored in those computers. Some guy just says, hey, and just kind of tricks you into thinking, like, yeah, like, viruses are everywhere, bro. But in reality, probably the fact that he was even talking about viruses probably made being a virus or a hacker probably more popular.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Boosted it. There's so much hacker clout.
I mean, look at the shit that's happening today, man. Like, we're having, like, fucking Equifax getting hacked. And,
Dude,
like,
hacker clout is running rampant.
yo, shouts out to all our hackers out there. We see you.
But
Please don't.
But around this time, John McAfee kind of like, he had to have a scapegoat. He had to have some kind of enemy that his program could work for. And it was just perfect because most infamously, the Michelangelo virus was created by some hackers to destroy data on countless computers. And a decent amount of computers were actually affected by this virus. But after the virus had affected so many people became much more aware of the reality that viruses even existed.
Not nearly as many computers as he was kind of trying to make it out to be. This was another little grift of his, another little scam by John McAfee.
He was like on Good Morning America, and like they were like talking like it was going to be like millions of computers and shutting down governments and shit.
Yeah, which is like in the late 80s, like all the computers.
I think at the end of it was like 5,000 to like 10,000 computers were affected. Like after it was all said and done.
But at the same time, if you're like a business person and you own somewhere, even if you're looking at it and even if it wasn't as catastrophic as that, you're going to say, you know what, that could have been me. Mm-hmm. And you're going to become paranoid, and he definitely capitalized on that. I mean, even if as long as the paranoia was struck into you, then there's an emotional side to that, and you're going to think, I'm not going to let my business lose its money. I'm going to invest in this motherfucker's antivirus software.
The threat existed. It did, and then many people didn't know it even existed. So true, for sure.
And then at the end of the day, we did need this software. But even when McAfee controlled 67% of the antivirus market, John McAfee was known to be a very eccentric CEO. I mean, he even went as far as hosting sex contests, and I don't even know what that means exactly.
I was going to say, what do you think that means? What do you think that is?
Probably like how far you can bust a nut.
Like who's holding it for the longest? What's the best sex in the office?
Do you think people just get naked and they rate them, or is it like...
Nah, it said sex
contest. Wait.
Sex contest.
Rate?
I mean, it said sex
contest.
Bro, he said rate, bro.
All right.
Bro.
I was like, what?
And in addition to these sex contests, he was having Wiccan ceremonies. They were probably doing a lot of drugs, just all kinds of weird shit.
That's some next level.
He literally was an Alex Jones nightmare, a rich man having Wiccan sex parties.
And
it's really remarkable because even as crazy as the story's going to get, if you actually break down what he was doing, even when he was running this kind of like what you would imagine to be like a straight edge like lifestyle, he's being like the craziest type of person in his field. And even antivirus software at the time, think about like the kind of paranoia you have to naturally have to really even create that kind of software.
He was like the Motley Crue of like fucking like tech gurus. Like you had like Bill Gates and like Steve Jobs back then. They were like straight laced, just like dudes. Like they weren't out there like partying and doing all this crazy shit.
He might have been
like coke-addled fucking McAfee just going crazy.
This is like the late 80s, early 90s. Like, this is like Wolf of Wall Street shit. Like, I'm sure he might have been going super hard, but this wasn't outrageous, right? You think
but it was for like that field. Like, when you think of like tech gurus back then, like I was saying, like Bill Gates, you don't think of Bill Gates doing lines of coke off of a prostitute.
Well, because he's a square.
That's what I'm saying. Like all these dudes were squares. Like he wasn't a stock dude.
They were savages. I think like when you look at like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs and those types of tech moguls, they were still savages. But this guy's a savage mixed with just being a raw ass. I don't know, fuck boy, pretty much. like
what you mean your boy was?
My boy was trapping at NASA. He was trapping at NASA, bro.
Oh shit! Hey, yo, girl, you got mad viruses. Only I can save you, bro.
Hey, girl, let me scan your fucking. I don't even know.
So, it is worth mentioning. He eventually, I mean, as much stuff that was going on, eventually he cashed out of the CEO position in order to move on to new ventures with his fortune. So really, I mean, he was like the CEO of McAfee for a long time, but in the long run of the actual company McAfee, which is still on computers, he was barely even there. He's just the name at this point. There's no association.
So
with
he
the
like
company.
Papa John.
Yeah, on a big enough timeline, when you zoom out, he's just a speck. But I mean, he did a lot.
He got the name.
He did a lot, and I think he was actually even like pushed out of the CEO. I mean, I'm sure he wanted to get out, but like I think they were like,
why would you want to get out of that?
I bet it was like it was
he
probably
made enough money to live the life he's been living.
But that's the thing. When you make money like that, it's never enough, bro. Can I just for a second just get something out of the way?
Go ahead.
Your boy drunk. I'm just going to say that right now.
Oh, it's McAfee Monday, bro.
It's McAfee Monday. Your boy drunk. No one else is drunk like me. I'm drunk. I'm sorry.
I will disclose. I think this is definitely
apologize.
This is definitely one of the more intoxicated episodes of this podcast, but that is definitely because we are covering John McAfee.
I wanted to do it in his honor. Shouts out to my boy.
If you ever get a chance to see McAfee speak, you're watching a drunk man. Even if he's sober, he's drunk. Like, no matter what, the dude is fucking insane, but we'll get onto it even more. So, I mean, even though, later down the line, he would disown McAfee software and all that, he did not fuck with it at all. With his fortune that he did have, in the early 2000s, he became a yoga guru and even had 200 disciples in Colorado.
He really went all the way in on... he goes all the way in on whatever he does. So, like, you went all the way in on being a tech fucking guru. Then he throws that away. And he goes all the way in on being a fucking yoga dude.
My boy stays fully torqued for everything.
For whatever he's into. Like, he wrote, like, 4 books about yoga.
Yeah. I mean, when you consider the fact that he had 200 people that just kind of lived on this weird compound in Colorado, you get major... cult vibes.
Yeah.
He left an antivirus company to form another cult. And think about this: when he was a CEO of McAfee, like his company, he's probably trying to turn them into a cult, having sex contests and Wiccan ceremonies.
Yo, do you think he was selling coke to his employees?
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, for sure.
Like you go for a board meeting and like you're sliding him a $100 bill under the table for a key bump.
I mean, I think that's the only way it like works. Like if he's on that level and he's selling coke, he's got to be like, he's not like catching like a beeper and like, oh shit, I gotta head out, guys. Like,
all right, I'm gonna head out.
Alright, I'm gonna head out.
I'm gonna head out.
I mean, probably like we were saying in the late 80s, this was a big staple. Like, if you were like a big CEO, if you were like money hungry, you were doing coke and shit. And as things got into 90s CEOs, 90s like business people were more like, like we're trying to be more transparent, we're trying to be more professional, and he was like, alright, I'm gonna head out, I'm gonna go make a fucking yoga studio in Colorado.
Fuck you, pussies!
Like, y'all some Gen X bullshit right now, I'm out.
Exactly. But he did his yoga thing, and it started to get old after writing all of his books. He fucking went on to create his own sport called arrow trekking.
That yoga shit was boring.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine that. I bet what it was is when you consider the chaotic mind of somebody like John McAfee, yoga was probably his way of kind of trying to escape that. But yeah, it got boring. He went from yoga to flying motorcycles with wings.
Could you imagine like doing coke and trying to meditate?
Not happening, bro.
Not happening, dude.
Not happening. So he went from one extreme, all the way in on this thing, and then he gets this, I guess, wild hair up his ass that he wants to create this sport called arrow trekking, which is, like you said, it's kind of like...
it's like a buggy or a motorcycle.
It's like a motorcycle with a hang glider on top.
Think of hang gliding, but like with like a motorized little scooter or like buggy on it. And more so than that, like he went all in on this. So he starts fucking... he makes the sport, creates these things, and then he also starts creating these little airports and fixtures to like network all these, because you can't just fucking slide out from wherever place he created to anywhere. He had to make little stations to land and kind of create this thing. So it wasn't even like a business venture. This was like a passion of his.
Honestly, I think a lot of, when you look, especially after McAfee Antivirus, a lot of what he does, even though it seems so big, it's always just him doing his own bullshit. He's just this rich guy who somehow makes money out of it, and we'll get a little bit into it later, but even when he moved out to the jungle and was doing all that shit with that drug, like, there's no point to that. He wasn't selling that shit. Like, what was he even doing? But yeah, exactly. I mean, he goes from being a yoga guru to inventing a sport where you're when you're on a plane. But unfortunately, this was like his main thing until his 22-year-old nephew died in an accident with an older man. And after being plagued by lawsuits because of this event, amongst probably many other lawsuits, John McAfee decided to give up on arrow trekking.
He skips town, man. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm done with this."
He moved out the country.
He proclaimed of like losing a bunch of money in the what do you call that? The recession or
the Great Recession,
the mortgage bubble,
and like
bursted.
So we're looking at about 2009.
He did have a lot of money in real estate as well, as you can imagine. He had a whole bunch of fucking luxury homes.
Yeah, he was flipping houses.
Yeah, he was doing real estate.
Everybody was back then, man.
He wasn't only like flipping houses, but he was like flipping the most extravagant.
He was flipping
houses.
mansions.
pointless houses that you couldn't even realistically live in. They were just like rich people museums. Like, I think he had like there was one house that had a fucking dinosaur fucking skull in it or something like that. He had to have that got repossessed somehow. Just wild shit, dude. Wild shit.
I think the entire point of everything that he does is just to push the absolute extreme. And so it's no wonder that in 2009, after the real estate bubble broke and the Great Recession, he announced that he had gone broke. Whether or not that's true or not, we don't know. It's probably just to get attention or to stop being sued.
Yeah,
I'm broke.
Another grift.
And he sold everything that he owned, and he moved to Belize in Central America. So this is the point where he really became the Captain Kurtz of the Belize jungle. So for those of you guys who aren't aware, Captain Kurtz is a character in the Joseph Conrad novel Heart of Darkness, and also in the movie Apocalypse Now. So basically, what those are both about are about a eccentric fucking white guy that moves out into a jungle and just brings his own kind of cult-like personality to changing the entire element of this area. So what John McAfee did was he moved and he bought beachfront property in Belize and established businesses in the country, most notably one with his new business partner, Alison Ondanizio, a microbiologist who would help him harness the power of the jungle to create a new organic antibiotic after buying land in the heart of the Belize jungle.
Well, yeah, he moved out there. He moved to like a resort area at first, and then I don't really know what he did out there. Just like hung out at a bunch of bars and shit and met a bunch of people, but then established his entourage. But then he moves to a more remote location in Belize, a place called Orange Walk, where it's not a tourist location, where it's just a bunch of villagers and shit. And that's where he kind of sets up shop for this laboratory with what's her name again?
Alison Aldanizio.
Aldanizio, yeah,
Aldanizio, yes. Oh no.
And fucking, but while he's out there, he does a bunch of, I'm guessing, grifts and money laundering little scams where he establishes a bunch of other businesses and stuff, and he starts shacking up with locals and not just locals, but
a lot of locals,
some gangsters and sex workers.
And a microbiologist amongst all those.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, so real quick, Alison Aldanizio. She had, I think she was 30 years old, had, like, finished, like, a bunch of, like, microbiology stuff in Harvard, like, had a grant from the country to do 3 years of research work, and she kind of was, like, overwhelmed. So she starts messaging a bunch of resorts and reaching out to a bunch of resorts in Belize to see if she can come down there and play guitar.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so she goes down to Belize and she starts playing guitar in bars and stuff, and that's how she meets your boy John McAfee.
So essentially, even when John McAfee meets someone that is legit, there's still a little bit of a fuck up.
You know, there's some fuckery involved.
Yeah,
There's people
fuckery.
like this, like they fucking. They pull fuckery into them. So
well, their whole idea was, I guess the dynamic must be, she's like, hey, I'm a microbiologist. I've studied some shit in college. And then it's just like, okay, well, we have access to a literal rainforest. We're in Central America, so we can access all these different plants and try and find which plants will actually turn into a new drug. Because essentially, a lot of drugs essentially come from plants in the Amazon.
Yeah, in the Amazon. So the planet's kind of aligned on this because you do have this. They man the bar, but you do have this microbiologist. You do have this eccentric millionaire willing to fund whatever the fuck, apparently, sight unseen, and that's what the fuck happens. Like, you know, he creates this laboratory, he buys all this shit so she could come and work, and they could start working on, I think originally it was, it's not an antibiotic, but like...
It's like an antibiotic.
It's a topical antibiotic
yeah.
working on.
But then that goes a little left, right? And he starts trying to make, I guess, like...
I think things are crazy in the beginning. Honestly, no matter how I think she was a little bit crazy he's a little bit crazy, but when it boils down to it, his craziness got a little bit more intense. So, I mean, despite these positive intentions, McAfee had begun to surround himself with prostitutes and gang members while also doing a whole slew of drugs, which caused Allison to eventually begin to distance herself a little bit more from their business venture in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm sure shit got a little weird as his personality is changing into this kind of Captain Kirk-esque figure that he's became.
Mm-hmm. And even though, I mean, she was probably down for a little bit of strangeness, she's thinking, okay, this rich mogul wants to really do something positive for the world. I'm down with that. But as time went on, she realized that he was just crazier and crazier. And in fact, in one documentary called Gringo, she even said that he drugged her and raped her.
Yeah,
in one instance.
When she decided to part ways and confronted him, apparently things got ugly, and she was drugged and raped, and that's when she left.
It's a tricky situation because what I think was really going on was McAfee. I mean, think about it. You have this rich mogul guy who's clearly like some kind of a psychopath who's hanging out with all these different prostitutes. Most of the women that he knows are sex workers or just young girls who just want some money, whatever. And then all of a sudden, there's the one girl in his life, Allison, who is like actually kind of legit, and he's probably just thinking, hey, like, why aren't you having sex with me? It's like...
He also, at the time, was on some crazy-ass drug called... MDPV.
MDPV.
Which apparently, like, makes you extremely horny and, like you go on, like, 30-hour, like, sex, like, binges
like
and shit.
Like a sex binge, yeah,
like,
yeah.
At one point, somebody was describing it like people were, like, masturbating so, like, hard that they were bleeding, and then they were continuing to masturbate through the bleeding.
Yikes.
Because the drug just drove you fucking crazy.
Well, it's because, like, when he went out there, he started getting into bath salts. He started getting into bath salts, and he started getting onto these online forums. Like, it wasn't the Eurowood Vault. I think it was called, like,
Blue Light.
Blue Light. He got on the Blue Light website, and he's interacting with all these other drug people. And that's when he starts making MDPV, which I believe is some kind of a derivative of bath salts. I'm not entirely sure. But apparently that makes the user extremely fucking horny. And he said some members of his entourage, when they were on MDPV, even tried to have sex with his dogs while on the strange drug, which was and is still legal in Belize. So this is the type of drug that just made you, like, extremely horny. It's not just like Viagra. It's not just like it gives you a boner. It like makes you go fucking nuts.
Yeah. And I think he even on that forum, which apparently he has like denounced as trolling, he said that he was trolling on this forum.
Yeah, don't take anything he says.
He had pictures of the fucking shit he was making.
Yeah, but apparently on this forum also, I think he had claimed to be trying to manufacture it and
make his own like condensed version of it.
Yeah. So
the guy's in the jungle. He's hanging out with all these prostitutes.
He's got a fucking lab.
He's just losing it. He's in the jungle. He's got a lab. I mean, think about it. He's really sinking into his own little heart of darkness. He's going absolutely insane out here. All of his weird desires are satisfied. I mean, think about it. He's in the jungle. He's around all these prostitutes.
You're in the jungle, baby.
So what does he make? He makes a drug that makes you want to fuck all the time. Like, really think about, like, what kind of trip this guy was on. I think this shit is just absolutely insane, y'all.
Dude, so while he's in this town, Orange Walk, he's got his lab, he's fucking tripping on MDPV, he's got his fucking entourage of ex-felons, gangsters, and sex workers.
This concubine of Belizean girls and prostitutes.
A harem, if you would. But one of his girlfriends, a 16-year-old or 17-year-old.
Yo, 17. Give him that. Don't take that year from him.
I won't take that 1 year from him. A 17-year-old, one of his 17-year-old prostitutes, apparently tells him about a nearby town where there, I guess, a lot of corruption and a lot of bad shit going on, and apparently that there's people there who are plotting to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
So he takes it upon himself, among like all these businesses that he's making in Orange Walk. He basically goes Bruce Wayne and creates, because the town of Carmelita, that's the name of the town that's nearby, has no police force. It has no police presence, apparently. So he kind of like makes its own police force. He like hires a bunch of people. He buys them a bunch of fucking weapons.
Not a bunch of people, a bunch of gangsters.
A bunch of gangsters.
Like legit gang members.
And gives them all like a bunch of M16s and tasers and basically tells them to police this town. I think he even took to policing some of himself. I think he there's an incident that was noted that where he pulled over a bunch of people himself and it turned out to be a bunch of like old people in their car.
I feel like he was hiring all these like real gangster dudes who were like doing real gangster shit, and then at some point he tried to be a real gangster. It's like, yeah, I'm hiring all these gangsters. It's not just because I'm just some rich guy. He tried to pull someone over, and then it was just like, huh. And they were just a bunch of like older people, and they were just like, "Dude, what are you doing?" I think John McAfee, honestly, he's kind of gravitating towards this kind of gangster, crazy person lifestyle. But at the end of the day, he's just some fucking guy. He's some English dude that was raised in Salem, fucking Virginia.
He's kind of like B-Rad from Malibu's Most Wanted.
Yeah,
like he just got put into a situation where like they're like, "Oh yeah, you're hard," and he was like, "Okay, yeah, I am hard.
I am hard."
But he's not hard. He just has money.
I sold coke at NASA, and now I have money, and these dudes think I'm hard, so I gotta put on for him.
Yeah, he's just some goofy rich guy. I mean, that's really all there is to it. He's like goofy, he's insane, but he's filthy rich. This whole story speaks to how much money can really do for you, no matter how insane you are.
Go, yeah, exactly.
But it's also worth mentioning that the whole time that like all this stuff is going down with his girlfriend, his 17-year-old girlfriend telling him, "Hey, this town is plotting against you, and you're in the jungle." All this time he's doing MDPV, this fucked up drug, which is known to give users extreme paranoia.
So your boy is like paranoid as fuck also going through all this.
Yeah. And he's also making his own strands of it, which I'm sure are fucking him up even more. Like, and he's not testing like these strands he's making out on like people. He's testing it out on himself. He's just making variations of his drug and just taking it and like, okay, well this one's making me even fucking crazier. Like
this one makes me mad horny.
Yeah.
I mean, he was his main test subject for this totally unique drug that is like completely off the map. You can only find this drug, what was it called? MDPV on like weird drug websites. And he's just being a rich guy, just kind of cultivating this drug and doing his own thing. And he's starting to control the government around this area. But as you can imagine, with the notoriety in the nearby villages to his compound, the leader of the country's Department of Defense eventually got onto McAfee's trail, because you see this fucking crazy fucking rich white dude roll up into your country,
living in the jungle with a laboratory, surrounding himself with fucking prostitutes and gangsters, sex workers and gangsters.
Yeah, come on, man.
It's definitely a little sketch. It's a little sketch. Come on.
I mean, naturally, the government is seeing him with a lab in the jungle, and what do they assume? They assume that he's cooking methamphetamine on his compound, so they eventually get the permission to raid his compound in 2012, and they found guns and bricks of an unknown substance. At least legally, or according to the documents, it's called an unknown substance, but it's most likely just a fuck ton of MDPV.
It's probably a bunch of MDPV.
Didn't they also find like a fucking like 20-gallon garbage bag full of Viagra too?
That's what Allison Adonisio would find. Like a bunch of
like
trash and a bunch of Viagra.
It's so hard to keep track of like all the crazy shit going on.
He's got a lot going on.
Imagine that, a fucking trash bag full of Viagra.
It's just what like he's like taking like a handful of Viagra.
Yeah, is at a time.
Look at your boy. Like look at this dude. He looks like he's been chewing Viagra for fucking like 20 years. Like that's what he looks. I don't know about you guys, but he's got a weird look to me. Like he looks like, and when he talks,
what the fuck you mean about you don't know about us?
I don't know.
Yes, he's fucking weird looking. Are you shitting me?
I think he looks like an old British. I mean, keep in mind the guy is in his late 60s and he's done a lot of drugs.
He's like in his 70s now, but there's almost like an animatronic look when he like talks. Like,
yeah, because my boy high.
I mean, all that shit caught up to him because he was eventually arrested and put in jail and just treated like shit, according to him, by the government of Belize.
Dude, the gang suppression unit raided his compound.
They raided his compound, they found his drugs, they threw him in jail, they treated him like shit. Although he said that, we do know that he was thrown in jail. But the way that he was treated is kind of up to speculation. Like, we don't really know the most about the Belizean government, but he did say, I mean, like anything in the story, anything that he says is pretty fucking sketchy.
Yeah, you gotta take everything that this dude says with, like, a grain of salt. Because he says a lot of things, and he's kind of known for being a little bit of a troll. Mm-hmm. Especially with journalists, and I don't know, man. You can't take everything this guy says seriously. He's kind of a wild dude.
This guy's paranoia was so intense that when he was raided by police, he claimed that he was only treated badly because he didn't want to contribute to local politicians. And I will mention, I mean, perhaps the Belizean government is very corrupt. Apparently, Belize, their initial government was founded by pirates. I don't know. I don't know the full dynamic of this country. But what I will say is whether or not
your boy's got Belizean roots, though. You know.
There you go. Oh, true, yeah, Mark. You are like ethically.
Comes from Belize.
There you go. So you've got a personal investment in this.
Yeah, it's fucked up, bro.
Now it's fucked up. I mean, but the thing is we really don't know what's going on in this country. Basically, Belize is like a tourist or a retiree community in Central America with beautiful beaches and a deep, deep jungle. And who's really, I mean, I know apparently, according to him, it was founded by pirates. The initial government was founded by pirates, and he believes that's a big reason for how corrupt they are. Because, I mean, so much of his life really is just based around this country. All the crazy stories are just about this guy.
According to him, like, Orange Walk and Carmelita are like the most corrupt places on the planet.
Bro, have you ever been to D.C.?
I mean, honestly, I think when it boils down to it, even if they are a little bit corrupt, you've got this guy rolling out, this crazy fucking dude who's just hiring prostitutes and gang members. No matter what, man, if you're a government entity, you're not just going to turn a blind eye.
Could you imagine just like someone popping up in like Suffolk or some shit with a lab with armed gangsters out in front of it,
like in deep
harem
Suffolk.
Of prostitutes.
Oh, like he just pops up like in deep Suffolk, like in the woods, like in the forest, and then just like makes.
Oh no, it's legit out here. You don't have to come. It's chill.
And he hires like all the T-bones and all the fucking like.
Yo, shouts out to the T-bones.
All the T-bones, and what was that one dude? All the B-rads. And
for those who don't know, Suffolk is a very rural community near our area, and a T-bone is a person who is just kind of like some like meth head broke dude with a mullet that like makes meth, does meth.
Well, he doesn't have a mullet anymore. Did y'all know that?
That's the real T-bone. We're talking about the legend of T-bone. This is our thing.
I'm sorry. Shouts out to the legend.
Don't water down the legend.
Yeah, my bad.
All right.
So, after eventually being released from jail, McAfee soon moved out of the jungle, the Belizean jungle, to a small Belizean island in Ambergris Key, in a residential neighborhood. So this is actually where he originally lived when he moved out to Belize.
This is the resort area. This is like Belize. This is the Belize wants you to see.
Oh, so he was in like the Newport News before.
He was in the jungle, baby.
Now he's in Virginia Beach.
Yeah. He just moved out of fucking Yorktown back to fucking not even Yorktown. He moved out of some fucking remote ass area of Suffolk back to Virginia Beach.
When McAfee moved from the fucking jungle to like this resort area full of retirees, he brought with him his hired guns, his gangsters, his prostitutes, and just a bunch of fucking vicious dogs.
He brought the whole gang. He brought his whole entourage.
The whole pack.
He brought the whole fucking pack, of which he was the alpha.
Real quick, we're all in agreement that McAfee's a Chad, right?
I don't know, man. He's a weird fellow.
No, yeah, he's a Chad. No, think about it.
No, he's a Chad,
Yeah, he was like beating... I just like imagine him at NASA, like just like throwing like some like fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson in a closet.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Is that his name? I don't.
It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Some nerd.
Some fucking
nerd.
Some dork in a closet and like shoving cocaine down his nose and like take this shit.
Just shoved cocaine up his asshole and just fucking said, "Do this shit."
Boof
bro,
that shit.
Would you let McAfee boof coke into your butthole?
If I was going to let anyone, I think John McAfee would probably be the best person. He's done it. There's no doubt. John McAfee, anything that you think that like is crazy, he's done.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
He's no stranger to boofing.
But that's the thing, is he moved out of this community in this kind of like rich retiree area with all these guns, prostitutes, dogs, and everything like that. And as you can imagine, a lot of his neighbors started to get pretty pissed when this one guy comes out of the jungle with a bunch of fucking guns everywhere.
Yeah, when the Kid Rock of Belize moves fucking next door to you.
These were mild-mannered white people, like, living on a tropical island.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of, like, people who are retired and, like... Okay, the word expat gets thrown around a lot. I don't know what that is.
This means someone that's moved away from the country and is a resident of another country.
Sick.
If you move from America and you go to any country besides the United States of America, then
so Johnny Depp is
but
an expat.
What if I want to colonize that other?
Oh, your boy John McAfee is
canceled.
Yo,
canceled.
Do you think he was a colonizer? Like he was?
Your boy's a fucking colonizer, like
bro.
a bitch, bro. Yeah,
John McAfee. Going back to Captain Kurtz, one of the stories of Captain Kurtz is in the Vietnam War. Literally a colonized fucking war,
right?
As a result of French occupation in that country.
Yeah.
And Heart of Darkness is about like Europeans just occupying Africa just to get fucking ivory. Like, yes, this dude, all these white dudes who move out to a jungle are the purest of the pure colonizer mentality.
Yo, shouts out to the imperialists.
But when he moved out to this neighborhood, most notably, McAfee had a neighbor named Greg Fall who felt extremely disturbed by McAfee's antics and even confronted McAfee about his bullshit one day, to which McAfee responded by pointing a fucking shotgun in his face and telling him to get the fuck off his property.
Yes.
Yo, one thing about Greg, though, like, Greg won't know bitch. He was a fucking Marine, dude.
Greg was an ex-Marine.
Yeah.
Greg had this property about 200 yards down from McAfee, and he had a house that he was a construction dude, ex-Marine. He had a house that he had spent 7 years building on the beach, and fucking he finally moves in, and he's got fucking John McAfee as a neighbor.
Well,
and John McAfee has these armed guards walking up and down the beach, fucking loading shotguns at people, dogs biting people.
Yeah, that was the big complaint he had. Like, he got bit by one of his dogs just like walking on the beach.
Yeah. So,
Imagine this guy,
this
Greg
dude
Fall.
is hostile as fuck when he approaches him about it.
Imagine this dude, Greg Fall, who's just like this Vietnam Marine who just was trying to serve his country, fucking lived his life, worked his ass off, made a bunch of money. He said, I'm going to move out to an island in Belize and live my best life. And then some fuckboy just rolls up, some rich fuckboy who happened to establish a fucking antivirus company, rolls up with his dogs and his prostitutes and his gun. And you roll up to confront him and he puts a fucking shotgun in your face. This dude's probably put shotguns in people's faces. Greg Fall was a hard-ass dude, but he still tried to go out about it clean. So he issued a complaint to the mayor after he had his confrontation with McAfee, and eventually just really had a fucking issue with McAfee's roaming dogs. And this next point, whether it's at the hands of Greg Fall or somebody else, it gets
a little foggy here.
This is where it gets kind of foggy. It was soon after this confrontation between Greg Fall and John McAfee that some men had wandered near McAfee's house and threw a bunch of poisoned meat over his fence so that his dogs would eat the poisoned meat.
So, question. Do you think McAfee was fucking these dogs?
Fucking the dogs?
He was high. And he was already, like, hinting at, like, people were trying to fuck his
There
dog.
were some messages on Blue Note that said that, like people... What did
he did talk about dog fucking a lot. With
So,
his,
that people
with his
were
the
whole
next
entourage.
couple things, like, what if he, like, was it... Like, hear me out.
It was
The
interesting.
next couple steps, he goes a little crazy overboard with what happens to these dogs. I think it's because he was sexually attached to these dogs. My boy was fucking dogs.
There's not a bad point because in the Joe Rogan interview, he tells Joe Rogan that like he tries to say that like Greg Falls would have never done this because anyone that loves dogs would never hurt another dog, and like
which is stupid.
Wait, that's stupid. That's just a dumb. Like he states it like it's an objective truth, which is just it's stupid as fuck. The reality is, but however, if you love dogs to the point that you're fucking dogs,
You
might feel that way. Yeah, you might feel that way. Yeah.
maybe John McAfee is actually a lot worse than we really thought. But it's worth saying that after his dogs were poisoned, they started convulsing and vomiting blood on the ground, and McAfee had to eventually shoot his dogs dead to end their suffering. So I think this was at least 8 dogs. And it was reported by some of his associates that soon after this event, after he had to kill his dogs, that he decided that he would get his revenge on Greg Falls. He
said that. He said, "I'll have my revenge," which is like kind of like a supervillain type thing to say.
Another thing, I work in the vet field. I see a lot of dogs puking.
Speak on it.
Do you think they were really like going like as hard as like he described them as, or like maybe someone threw some meat over and they got like pancreatitis and they were puking,
everything,
and like having diarrhea, but they weren't like fucking like vomiting like pure like giant amounts of blood or anything like.
Everything
he just saw them puking. He was like, "Oh no, they're not good. Got to put them down," and just shot him because he was high out of his fucking mind.
Everything that he says is like in question.
Because like they could have just they could have gotten into the trash and like threw up like from eating some like chicken bones or some shit, and he was just like, "Nope, they're poisoned. Got to shoot them." And just
I don't think so. I think he's a dog lover. Yeah. I do. I'll give him that, and I don't think he would have just shot his dog.
I'm saying though. The amount of drugs that motherfucker was doing, though, like,
your boy was out
take
there.
him to a vet. Like, I'm sure there's a vet somewhere out there.
So, you saying that you don't think that Greg Falls or anybody intentionally poisoned his dogs?
I think it could have been something completely blown over. Like, because a lot of people, when people see a dog throw up, you know, they automatically assume it's the worst. I can't tell you how many times I have people come in and they're like, "Oh, someone poisoned my dogs. He's puking." No, it's the ham bone you gave him, dude. Like, he's puking because he's sick. Like, you're just assuming someone threw bleach over your fucking fence and killed the dog.
Is that a thing that does happen, though? Do people poison dogs?
99% of the time, it's some shit they got into in the trash. It's hardly ever someone poisoned the dogs.
But it has
a dog puking.
It has been poisoned, though.
Yeah, just like I could argue that like your kid starts puking, I'd be like, "No, someone poisoned your kid."
Hold on, Ricky Bobby, don't put that on me. Ricky.
I'm just saying, like I could, you know, someone's kid throwing up, and I could just go, "Well, someone's kid's been poisoned before." I just think like with his state of paranoia, the amount of drugs he's doing, the lifestyle he's living, he just went off the deep end. His dogs are throwing up.
It's definitely a possibility.
His dogs are throwing up. He probably could have taken him to the vet, and the vet would have been like, "No, they're straight."
At the end of the day, it's a big mystery what actually happened to his dogs. But no matter what, on November 11th of 2012, Greg Falls was found dead with a gunshot wound to the back of his head with taser marks all over his back. And obviously, with the community, everyone talking, McAfee was the first suspect. But he was nowhere to be found when police came to confront him. Because evidently...
Because where was he?
When McAfee realized that the police were onto him because of his suspicion, he covered himself in the sand on the beach with a cardboard box over his head so that he could make air holes to breathe. So he just went onto the beach.
Some real Metal Gear Solid.
Dude, I was just about to say that. He's a hashtag pro gamer.
Well, the thing is, like, if a bunch of like cops come out to your house and you didn't kill this guy, why are you hiding in the first place? You should have just been in your house to be ready to be like, "Oh my god,
dude." That's what I'm trying to fucking say, man.
He knows
out his fucking mind.
This is the big argument within this whole discussion: is whether or not McAfee is actually responsible for the death of his neighbor Greg Falls. And I want to go ahead and say, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
He definitely killed Greg Falls.
His fucking, Cabana boy, like, transferred money to some gangster, like, the night before, like, $5,000 to this guy.
What's that dude's name?
Eddie Mac-10.
Eddie Mac-10, yeah.
Transferred $5,000 to Eddie Mac-10 the night before, and then picked Eddie Mac-10 up coming out of Greg's fucking yard the night he got murdered.
But they've all said the opposite, too.
Of course you're going to say the opposite. No one's going to say, like,
McAfee,
oh, yeah.
After the interview, McAfee called him and was like, "Yo, what the fuck? Here's some more money, and I want you to record this video saying none of that happened."
Yeah, no one's going to say, "Oh, yeah, McAfee definitely fucking gave me money to kill somebody." I mean, there's a lot of conspiracies involved here.
We've said every pronunciation of fucking McAfee.
McAfee.
You just said McAfee.
Oh, no.
McAfee.
Well, regardless,
I'm just gonna call him McAfee.
regardless, even when Greg Falls had been found murdered, McAfee was never actually wanted for anything besides questioning, despite the fact that he had gone out to the beach and hid himself and was hiding from police. He was never wanted for anything.
They just wanted him for questioning.
Yeah, do you think he dug the hole or his boys dug his hole?
Dug that hole.
I don't know. Yeah,
They shot the hole with a shotgun.
he was
He's
just
like the guy who would have a bunch of fair weather friends, like where shit hit the fan and police are popping up, they're gone, and he has to dig his own hole.
Bro, what would happen like if a big gust of wind came up and just blew the box off your head and you're just in the sand looking up at the cops?
Some dusty ass dude, like 6 feet down.
I'm innocent.
Well, regardless, I mean, he went on the run to escape authorities, so he wasn't even wanted for anything but questioning, but he went on the run for a minute, and he created this whole, like, fucking insane story about how he evaded the press and the police, that involves all kinds of ridiculous espionage. I mean, he said that he believed that the reason that Greg Falls was killed was because that the Belizean government was actually trying to kill him, but they accidentally confused his house with that of Greg Falls, which is a stupid-ass fucking excuse.
The Belizean government just like, whoops, wrong door.
Wrong white guy. Wrong.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. Like, his dogs just threw up a little spot of, like, fucking, like, chicken bones, and he was just like, nope, they're poisoned, gotta shoot them.
Had to put him down.
Gotta put them down, they're foaming at the mouth.
Well,
they're just drooling after drinking out the water bowl. He's just like, nope, they're rabid.
Well,
Shoot them.
the whole situation with John McAfee is that, I mean, whether it be because of the drugs he was doing or just his natural brain chemistry, he believed that this whole situation was just him being blamed for the death of Greg Falls. He believed that it was an elaborate hoax on the behalf of the Belizean government to murder him for all the chaos he brought to the country of Belize during his stay in the jungle, and also because he refused to contribute his wealth to the local politicians. You'll hear a lot of stuff about John McAfee saying that, like, the Belizean officials were trying to kind of coerce him into contributing to their government or to the political campaigns.
Yeah, it was like the prime minister's son, who was also a rapper.
Yeah, Sean.
Like, he was running for, like, office, and, like, they wanted him to contribute money to, like, his campaign
and help get him out of jail earlier.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was locked up in America or some shit.
Yeah, they also he said that they wanted
retarded.
$2 million from him. $2 million that they wanted from him. That's what he said.
And this whole situation,
and then he said he told him to get the fuck off his property, and that's why all this shit was happening.
So John McAfee is on the run, and he's creating this insane story about how he evaded the press, where he said that he stuffed his mouth full of toilet paper, he stuffed his nose full of tampons.
Oh, his disguises. No, okay, hold on. He's not just stuffing his face full of bullshit for no reason. He had to go on the run and disguise himself. So he says.
Didn't he do?
This is all purely bullshit at this point. Like, I don't think any of this shit is true.
Well, no, there's videos of him like looking exactly like he does, just like with a cane limping.
Just like,
hey, I'm not McAfee.
All types of stupid disguises.
And blackface.
Oh, yeah.
He walked with a limp to make himself look shorter. He covered himself in shoe polish to make himself look darker. And all of
Problematic.
this, yeah, come on, dude. Fucking not PC, dude. Shoe polish, you gotta at least have some fucking...
I bet he had red lips too, fucking asshole.
Oh shit! Just
he looked like Mr. Popo from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh no,
dude! What the fuck with your boy from DBZ? Like,
Mr. Popo.
Everyone's fine with that.
Huh? No, dude. Because when they re-released it, Mr. Popo's purple now.
Okay, fair enough.
Yo, same fucking thing with Jinx from Pokemon. Jinx originally was problematic because she looked like blackface.
Yeah, I mean Jinx was a little bit different. I kind of like. Didn't get the same vibe that I got from Mr. Popo. Was just straight up like, what the fuck?
Your boy was like black as the ace of spades with some fucking fire truck red lips, and I was like, this is bullshit. As someone who's like never big into DVC,
and he had like a Jamaican accent and like the fucking English dub.
We're super.
He's
off
like,
topic,
hey, Mr. Popo.
Like, yeah, come on, y'all.
Bruh.
Y'all knew.
Well, let's mention the reason that apparently he did all this shit, that he tried to make himself look like another person. He was disguising himself to spy on police. So one day, he might be a tourist, or a burrito salesman, or a homeless person, or
a drunk German tourist.
Whatever. he was always changing his disguises, at least according to him. And
allegedly,
basically, while he was in hiding, which probably just meant him just kind of hanging out on the side of the road somewhere, he claimed that he was using all these disguises, and he even claimed that he had hired the mistresses of government officials to tap a Belizean government or Belizean politicians' houses. And he even claimed to have hacked a government or government computers so that he could always be one step ahead of police at all times.
Well, he said he gave away
he donated a bunch of computers with
70
spyware
laptops,
on them.
yeah.
But little did they know that he still had access to them. So at all times...
So he's still on his Batman shit.
Bro. Exactly.
Sorry, go ahead.
So he thinks that at all times, when the government's looking for him, he has some fucking outpost somewhere where he can just look at there and be like, oh, I see where you're at. He's always one step ahead. Literally, he just watched fucking a Batman movie or whatever and just made up this whole idea. He even went as far to say that he had stumbled across an enormous plot involving the Belizean government and international terrorist groups. He was just making shit up, making a Tom Clancy story out of his exile.
Yeah, what was the terrorist organization? Hamas?
Habla.
No. God, we sound horrible right now.
It's so stupid.
Hezbollah.
Hezbollah. There we go.
Yeah. Hazahama.
And this is pretty interesting. So even while on the run, of course, some fucking Vice reporters had actually eventually joined up with McAfee, and they even went as far as to tweet a picture with him which had geodata on it, so that McAfee was finally able to be tracked. So McAfee is on the run, and Vice rolls up and just says, "Yo, bro, let me get a selfie." And the geodata makes it so that people are just like, dude,
they have his exact coordinates, his location.
Dude, Vice is like some of the most impressive, and some of the just like sometimes they do shit. I'm just like, wow, man, y'all really were able to get with this dude and interview him. And then other times I'm just like, what
they just fully drop the
fuck
ball.
Are you
like,
doing?
They're just some dumbass hipsters. Like when it boils down to it, even like when what happened was after everyone had said, "Hey, we know your geodata," McAfee was like, "Yeah, that was all intentional to throw you off my check." And the Vice News reporter that was with him said, "Oh yeah." He joined him. He corroborated his story, and after that happened, the like officials back at Vice News like put out an article where they just said, "We don't know what the fuck is even going on with our Vice reporter anymore."
They were possibly facing charges for aiding and abetting a fugitive by corroborating his little story.
So even the news got involved in this. Which, real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Vice News real quick, even though like. I feel like most of the topics that we talk about a Vice documentary, and they're great, but they're also so like they have such an obvious hipster fucking.
Dude, the incel one with that chick just like sitting in front of the computer while the guy's shitting on camera, and she's just like, "Why is he doing this?" They're so cringy.
The furry episode only I will say on the furry episode I said that the good times are not killing us. I think furries aren't that bad, but the Vice documentary only shined the most positive of light on the furry community.
Oh, they're just normal people.
Vice is a little bit sketchy. And even though he wasn't technically being searched for by police, he decided to seek asylum in Guatemala, where he was arrested for entering the country illegally. So he was arrested in Guatemala not for like seeking asylum or being a criminal, just because like you didn't do the fucking paperwork. Dude.
You snuck up in there.
And when he was at a detention center, after he had been arrested, again, just for some regular everyday shit, just like you didn't do paperwork, he faked a heart attack to get out of the center and to a hospital, which he later admitted that he only did to give him...
Scam.
It was a scam. It was to give him time for the appeal process, which is, like, why would you... Doesn't make any sense to me, because the appeal is going to happen no matter what, whether you're in jail or the hospital. So you just faked a heart attack just so you could have the adventure of going from a fucking jail to a hospital?
I don't know the Guatemalan laws, but did we mention also that like the whole time when he was like on the run from the police that he was like live vlogging his fucking whole escape, his quote unquote escape, since he wasn't necessarily being searched for murder or anything. He was just like...
I think by this point in the story, he was aware of... I think when he went to Belize, he was just kind of being himself, and at some point he had caught on to the fact that the rest of the world was watching him, and he said, all right, what's good? I'm going to make a Twitter. I'm going to make a website. I'm going to make a blog. Y'all get to see my entire escape. And this is when it really starts popping off.
This dude loves attention. Like, he loves the limelight being centered on him. He loves being the guy who's just evading the feds or whatever, even if that's not necessarily true.
He loves the character that he has occupied as a human being. But after the whole stunt with the fake heart attack was over, he took a plane from Guatemala to Miami, Florida. Because again, even though all this shit sounds super sketch, he's not really wanted for anything.
Yeah,
he sounds like a bad Batman villain, man.
He really does. He really does. So he moved to Miami, Florida, and when he moved back to the United States in Miami, Florida, he hired a prostitute who he ended up buying from her pimp, and he also ended up marrying her in Portland, Oregon.
Real quick. This guy, so publicity dies down a little bit after this whole... Because this was kind of a big thing. I don't really remember it happening myself, but this was kind of a story. It was on, like, all types of news stories when he was, like, on the run, quote-unquote.
I don't think we were big on MSNBC back in the day.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. But when shit kind of died down a little bit, that's when... And this is, I believe, 3 or 4 months after Greg Fall's murder, is when he makes that infamous YouTube video, How to Delete Norton Antivirus.
Oh, yeah, can we talk about that video for a minute?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So basically, around this time when John McAfee really became aware of his presence, he made a video which was titled, like, pretty much how to uninstall
McAfee Antivirus.
Which basically starts off with him in a robe with this kind of like green screen background where he's talking, which looks like this kind of like sophisticated fucking like book room, and he's talking all this shit about McAfee. I remember he said something about, like, he was reading complaints from people that use McAfee where someone said, oh, I can't use Pornhub, so I'm stuck using X-Hamster. And John McAfee was like, nobody should have to use X-Hamster.
I don't even know what the fuck X-Hamster is.
Yeah, I don't know what X-Hamster is. That sounds like some hard shit.
Y'all haven't been through the bullshit.
When finished, reboot the system. John, are you getting this?
Yeah, yes.
While this is happening, John McAfee is being stripped down by a bunch of, like, young-ass girls. Again, 60-something-year-old John McAfee getting stripped down by a bunch of young-ass girls while sniffing some kind of white substance.
You know. I mean, it's always there. It's watching. It's been watching me for years. Every time I turn on the fucking computer, it's there looking at me. You know, something went wrong. 15 years ago, I had some beautiful software, and they took it over. I don't know what they did. It was like the time I hired that Bangkok prostitute to do my taxes while I fucked my accountant.
Okay. All right. That was a good joke. Honestly, man, John McAfee, I think at some point he realized, like, the full extent of the insanity that his life was living. And that video is just him kind of capitalizing.
Yeah, it's
on
like a parody of, like, the
himself.
life that... Yeah, it's a parody of himself. It's like a satire of himself.
So, moving on. For a while, he was living with his wife, again, a former prostitute, which is fine.
Can we talk... Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt again.
A former sex worker, I apologize.
I'm sorry to interrupt again. Can we talk about how fucking weird it is that a rich white dude bought a black woman in America in 2010?
He already went to a jungle that was like no white people at all and bought the fucking town.
He bought a black woman in America.
He's a colonizer, dude.
Yeah, he's a straight
He's
colonizer.
An absolute colonizer.
Hold on, real quick.
He needs to change his name to Thomas Jefferson.
She approached him for a blowy, and he denied it, and apparently they cuddled.
Bro,
and that's when they fell in love.
That's a goddamn
This
lie.
is according to John McAfee. Just according to John McAfee. And
that's because he can't get it off the women anymore because he's fucking dogs, dude.
And apparently this was a problem with her pimp, Crutchfield.
He was like... I mean, I'm sure he still paid her for the cuddle. Like, he has money.
I'm sure he paid her for the cuddle.
Like, why did
But
pimp care?
they fell in love, bro. And
so
then
he
tried
bought
to like
her?
run. Yeah, he tried to run off with her, and they had some kind of agreement with him and Mr. Crutchfield. and they moved off to fucking Oregon, where they got married in like 2013.
So we bought this woman.
He still bought a black woman in America in like 2010.
Oof. Yeah, I don't. It's 2012 they met. Yeah,
It's a very antiquated version of reality. Although when you think about it, even the fact that
The second term of Obama, he bought a black woman in America. Get the fuck out of here.
it's a wild world, man.
It's a wild
All right.
world if you're fucking John McAfee.
Yeah,
Well, let's get into some of his where John McAfee's been at the past few years, y'all. So
Oh,
recently,
they met at a cafe.
the McDonald's mid-cafe.
John McAfee has recently only done a few different things. He's a huge endorser of cryptocurrency. Oh, and he ran for fucking president of the United States in 2016.
As a libertarian.
Well, actually, he's scamming cryptocurrencies again.
Of course.
Oh, he
He's
back to scamming?
Yeah, he's doing pump and dump schemes. He's basically using his name to propel the cost of the cryptocurrency. So, like, he'll endorse it, the price will go up. He'll sell all of his shares, and then as soon as the like celebrity of his name dies down, they tank.
Oof.
So all these people are buying all this currency and then immediately losing all the value. He's
know.
done it like 6 or 7 times.
That makes sense because he said that if cryptocurrency did not reach like $500,000 by 2017 or 18,
No, 2020.
Originally it was different. I think it was originally by 2017.
Oh.
He said that if it didn't reach $500,000, he would eat his own dick. And then when that reached, he said, "Okay, in 2020, if it doesn't reach $1 million, I'll eat my own dick."
He's still going to eat his own dick. Because there's a timer on this. It's called the Dickometer or something.
Is he
like,
cutting his dick off and eating it or sucking his own dick? What does he mean by eating dick?
It doesn't matter because he's going to have to figure that out. I think I'll accept whichever.
He's not going to do either. John McAfee is insane. He's not going to eat his own dick. The dude's
You
about
don't
to
think
die.
he's going to take a bunch of
You don't think he's gonna eat his
MPDV
own
or
dick?
whatever the fuck it's called and cut his dick off?
Can
and
we
eat
talk
it?
about the fact that this dude also recently ran for president in 2016 for the
I mean,
Libertarian Party?
Donald Trump ran for president. Like, that shit don't surprise me.
That's the
And he
thing,
won.
though, dude. Honestly, the fact that someone like John McAfee and Donald Trump are running for president around the same time represents some kind of weird fucking impulse that's just running through American society. Like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, he lost. I mean, John McAfee did lose to Gary Johnson, but he afterwards endorsed Gary Johnson and said that he would never run for president again. Although, just a year ago, he said, "Okay, psych, I'm going to run for president again, but I don't know what party I'm going to run under." So,
Also,
who knows what he is nowadays?
He's handing out these super hyper realistic masks.
That's his new thing is he's running. So right now he's running. Apparently he's doing everything he's doing from his
Boat.
freedom boat, where where he that's where he's running his whole campaign. He's got his campaign manager, and he's apparently
On the Caribbean.
it's just across in the Exumas and on the Caribbean.
Oh, he's a pirate of the Caribbean?
I think I think he's also trying to find asylum again because he's running from tax evasion in the U.S. and he's running from the FBI. And
The IRS is on his ass for tax evasion.
So he's on his freedom boat. He's on the run from the U.S. government, and he's fucking
While running for president of the U.S. government.
and he's but he's doing his campaigns, and apparently he'll be doing his debate using clones, quote unquote clones, volunteers that will you wear a John McAfee mask with his face on it while he does some talking through a speaker, and they will like kind of talk for him and kind of represent him, kind of as like
It's like that the movie
Avatar.
What's that fucking cringy movie everyone like Anonymous and all them fucking
V
for Vendetta.
You know, I've
like
never
when
seen
they
that
all
movie.
wear the guy Fox mask
like
in London to
like
hide
a
him.
Faux Max.
Whatever. I don't fucking care.
I mean,
The movie was alright.
when it boils down to it, everything that y'all have just talked about for the past 2 minutes, I just want to re-verify is real. None of that shit makes any sense. None of the shit we've been saying for the past hour and some change makes any fucking sense. And this dude is still alive.
It's all stupid.
It's all stupid. We don't know. This dude lives one of the most bizarre lives I've ever fucking heard of. Like, just the fact that, like, the guy who's responsible for most of the antivirus software is this guy that also became a fucking psycho in the jungle, who's probably responsible for killing a guy. Like, there's just, like, I don't know. I wish, I hope that before John McAfee dies, a fucking psychotherapist can talk to this guy and fucking diagnose this guy, because this guy is worth, like, valuable resources to the psychological community. This guy is a pure anomaly of human existence. What a fucking person, dude.
What a dude. So are we ready to get to it, or are we ready to announce it?
We're ready, and I want to say real quick.
Good times.
What the fuck?
We're about to go into the session, or the where we all say whether or not the good times are actually killing us. And I will say that usually in most episodes, we all get together and gather and kind of know where we're going to stand on this.
I have no idea.
Nobody here knows where we all stand on this. Whether the good times are killing us or not. Who wants to start?
K-Town.
I'm gonna go out here. I feel like I say this a lot, man. I do this a lot. I'm gonna say the good times are killing us. He's out here fucking dogs. he's beating his dick so...
Allegedly!
No, my boy fucking dogs, yo.
By your...
My boy, okay.
By your deduction.
Bullet points right now. My boy fucking dogs. He's beating his dick so hard it's bleeding.
That's fine.
He fucking 17-year-old prostitutes.
No.
He fucking making weird-ass drugs.
That's fine.
He shot his dogs in the head that probably weren't even poisoned. He was just fucking drugged out of his mind.
Okay.
He killed his neighbor. He bought a black woman in 2012.
Yeah, that's not a good look.
And he ain't paying no goddamn taxes. I need my streets to be clean, bruh. So no, the good times are killing us. Fuck him.
You got a good argument there, dude. I can't deny, man.
You know what? I don't end these enough, or I feel like I end these a lot, so I'm going to go ahead and agree. The good times are definitely fucking killing us. Is it a fascinating story? Is it amazing? Is it really cool to listen to? Yes, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, he's actually been in the process of talking to Hollywood scriptwriters, screenwriters, about making a movie about himself.
This would have been a really good thriller.
It's a great story. It's absolutely fantastic.
What did he say? It was like a mix of like fucking James Bond and Indiana Jones.
Yeah. That's the way that he's going to write it. If this guy has control, if this motherfucker has control over his story, it's going to be the dumbest shit ever. It's going to sound great. But at the end of the day, man, when you look at the objective facts of what kind of person this guy is...
Spoilercast coming soon, right?
Absolutely. Well, hopefully.
Could you imagine if George Lucas came out of retirement to write that?
Well, currently, they are working on a movie, or at least it's in development hell, probably.
Johnny Depp was going to
Johnny Depp was originally slated to star him.
McAfee.
But now it's Michael Keaton.
It would have definitely been John McAfee.
Want to get nuts?
It would have been Johnny
Let's get
McAfee.
nuts.
But let me go ahead and say the good times are killing us. This dude and his antics, as fascinating, as interesting as they are, not a good thing. The world could probably use less of these types of people. Honestly, what I believe is that when you look at the psychology of most CEOs of major companies, they're all fucking sociopaths. A lot of them are psychopaths. John McAfee is just the unbridled version of that. He's as if he's like if Steve Jobs or fucking Jeff Bezos or any of these other motherfuckers who controlled the world were to be complete fucking cokeheads, you'd have nothing different from John McAfee. John McAfee is just an insane fucking rich boy fucking cult leader psychopath, just like all the other CEOs, most of the other CEOs, okay, fine, whatever,
Goddamn,
in this country. He's just the unbridled version. He's the true face of the evil that really runs this country.
He's the Patrick Bateman.
Absolutely. He is a true blue Patrick Bateman if Patrick Bateman made it far enough to.
If only his business card was successful.
If only he had
his
that.
business card was successful and he was still here today in 2019. Okay, you guys want a hot take?
Oh God, here we go.
Is your hot take going to be your good times are killing us?
The good times are not killing us.
All right.
The good times are not killing us.
This is an interesting one. Okay, go ahead.
Your boy's playing by his own rules. He's playing to the beat of his own drum. I just thought about the whole.
Just a reminder, he might have fucked a dog.
Yeah,
he fucked a dog. He fucked a 17-year-old.
Possibly raped.
He might have
someone.
bought a black woman.
Oh yeah, I forgot about raping.
He might have raped a woman. A whole woman. He raped.
No, but
a woman.
Pain.
Your
It's
boy's
chill.
in a
He's
pickle.
playing by the rules of his own, the beat of his own drum. It's chill.
Oh yeah, according to
Yeah,
Mark. Oh yeah,
chill.
true. Mark, go ahead with your perspective.
Bro, you problematic.
We're about to cancel you right now.
Don't do me like you did Jordan, alright? Don't text me a picture every day of
You
me
eating
like trying to
Chick-fil-A?
explain this. Alright, look.
You can cut that.
Oof.
No, I don't care. Let him.
Oof.
Let him hear it. Jordan eats Chick-fil-A.
Those who
He
don't know,
problematic for that.
Jordan is a friend of ours who is a gay man.
We've done a couple episodes with Jordan.
He
like,
tries to
we
call us. He
unreleased.
tries to call us out all the time for being problematic, and I'm just. You can't sit there with Chick-fil-A in your hand talking about how shitty they are to gay people, and then you still eat there every fucking day.
Oh, speaking of problematic, Mark, you were saying that the man who had sex with 17-year-olds, fucked dogs, killed his neighbor, bought a black woman, was
Raped a woman.
Look,
Was
look,
chill.
look. I didn't say it was chill. I just didn't want to be completely unanimous on this one. And
right.
I'm trying to work my way out of that right now. So, the good times are not killing us. He's playing to the beat of his own drum. This guy, he made his millions, right?
Mm-hmm.
He took his millions. He tried to do something good. He tried to make some kind of topical antibiotics. It didn't work. He was on drugs. He kept pushing through. He was like, you know what? This country is corrupt. I've got to fucking hide and leave. I don't know. I can't. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I don't know. This guy's not really... He ain't helping shit. I mean, I don't know if the good times are killing us, but, like... Let him burn out bright, man. Let him go ahead and,
Okay, well, what I will say about John McAfee, whatever the fuck, McAfee, is that, like, usually when we talk about this, when we get in this segment, are the good times killing us, we talk about whether or not it's a benefit to society or not. And in the long run, I guess John McAfee doesn't really have a big impact on society as a whole.
Unless he becomes president.
Well,
Good
yeah.
God, imagine.
But let's just say whether or not it's good that this man has existed in the world or not. And I'm still going to say the good times are killing us. I don't think this person is a good person. I think he's a walking fucking mental wreck. He's either a psychopath. He's either got intense, like, borderline personality disorder. He's
Pretty sure he's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit, dude. He's absolutely insane, completely unhinged human being. I mean, there's worse people, but this guy is not.
What if he got real power?
He would just use his power for some dumb shit.
It's scary to think.
You think
of,
his
though.
power? You think that John McAfee's power?
If he became president,
He would
say he somehow became president. He docked the fucking Freedom Boat, and he's like, "Fucking hey, I'm in D.C. now. I'm the president. We're gonna legalize MDPV."
I would move to another fucking country. Because I don't want this guy in charge of my fucking country. This guy is a fucking psychopath, dude. John McAfee is absolutely insane.
Look, I'm gonna say, okay, I've had deep thought on this recently, and yeah, giving any type of real power or real type of... This guy would be a real problem. He's fucking people's lives up.
Imagine the people of Belize when this
Possibly
guy...
killing people.
This guy is hiring gang members and thugs.
Possibly
and
raping people.
And possibly raping people. In the community of Belize, he's probably a real force to be reckoned with in the worst possible way. I think he's just honestly, you know, I think he really is just an insane relic of this colonizer type of mindset that thinks that he can just do whatever he wants. He's the absolute most insane predicament as a human being.
He is like the definition of like every like BuzzFeed / like Vice article about like white privilege.
Yeah,
Like, he is just a white dude who has a bunch of money doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Do you guys think he can get anything else out of his white privilege?
I mean, he's hit
gotten
the
it
top.
all.
He literally,
Other than the like legitimate presidency.
he bought a woman. He bought a woman. He took over like an island nation.
He bought
Like-
the police and the gangsters.
Like, you can't get any more, and he still ain't locked up. Like,
Your boy's still out here just doing what the
That
fuck
is
he
true,
wants.
that is true.
He's literally doing whatever the fuck he wants. He's on a boat right now.
After
some people can argue, like, some people will argue white privilege, whether it exists or not. But then you have people like this, and it's like Kanye West couldn't pull this shit off.
No.
No,
As hard as he would have tried.
yeah, exactly.
As hard as he has tried.
Shouts out to Kanye,
Yo, shouts to Kanye.
forever in our hearts and minds.
So that is the story of John McAfee, y'all.
McAfee.
McAfee.
One of the most fascinating people
Mocha.
to exist in our modern world. Thank you so much for listening to the Good Times of Killing Us podcast. This has been quite a trip of an episode. I gotta say, this is the one episode where all of us actually got together and we got a little bit drunk to do the episode in honor of our boy. As much as I will say that I think that John McAfee is killing our society. He's killing people.
It's a funny
Literally.
story.
It is an absolutely fascinating story.
It's a fucking wild story.
I'll give you that, John McAfee. You have created one hell of a story. You wild motherfucker. We got some shout-outs, anything like that?
Shouts out to Kanye. Shouts out to Trump. Shouts out to Bernie, who just texted me. Bernie Sanders, what's up? I'm going to reply back in about 5 minutes. Shouts out to that bottle of sangria. I know I sound like a pussy for drinking sangria, but that shit was hitting.
No, that shit was good. It was good.
Shouts out to Flamin' Hot Doritos. Shouts out to Cal's Pizza. Shouts out to McCafe by McDonald's.
Maybe
Hope to
we
get
need
that
to make that a
sponsorship.
theme of this podcast since we're drinking.
I just want to make a shout-out. This episode, we're looking forward to doing a month of really spooky episodes for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Let's
particularly
do some
excited.
housekeeping. Let's plug what we're going to do next.
If you listen to this podcast and to the end of it, you will know that in October you will have an episode about the Church of Satan and the Satanic Temple, as well as a couple super spooky horror movies that have very weird backgrounds.
We're going to hit some spoiler casts like right on y'all's heads.
Bang,
With
bang,
some-
bang, bang, bang.
Like bow, like back to back, rapid fire. Just because it's Halloween, it's a fucking season that we all fucking love.
I'm so excited.
And we're
dude.
ready to party on some Good Times Are Killing Us style. And so, a lot of spoiler casts of some movies, a lot of really kind of more dark themed episodes. And follow us on fucking Facebook at the Good Times Are Killing Us podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Good Times Killing Us podcast. Look at our YouTube. If you're listening to this on any other podcasting, you probably don't need to look at our YouTube. But keep checking it out because we might post something spooky coming up this month.
We do plan on doing like a Facebook Live soon.
Yeah, we're going to do some Facebook Lives. That's why you guys need to follow the Facebook. If you are on fucking iTunes, hit us up. Give us that 5-star review because we need it. It makes us more relevant in people's podcast feeds. And give us a comment. Tell us what you think about the podcast. And if you love it, let us know. If you think we're stupid, if you think we're hashtag stupid, let us know. Because that's fine too. But give us that 5-star review.
Yeah, y'all give us some fucking feedback. Let us know how we're doing. I believe that we're doing something truly unique with podcasts. There's a lot of people we've discovered that are really into this type of stuff. We're just it's a totally unique genre. Just talking about the bizarre aspects of our modern culture. Thank you so much for listening. We really look forward to doing a month of with you guys. Probably 3 or 4 episodes of just Halloween themed stuff.
Dude, I don't know how many episodes we're going to hit them on.
We're going to go in, guys. We are super excited. This is the best season of the fucking year. And, as always, with all these motherfuckers out in the world, the good times are fucking killing us.
We're dead. Alright, go ahead when you're ready, doggy.
So, even though he wasn't technically being searched for by police, he decided to seek asylum, or Salem. Okay, let me repeat that.
Asylum.
Even though he wasn't technically being searched for by police, he... Alright.
Pipe it up.
Pump it up.